silence my phone.
Okay. I can't find mine. It's in the bag of holding somewhere.
That sounds like a great bag of holding.
So, you doing all right today?
I'm doing as well as anyone who's not a rich, entitled, bitchy white guy who thinks he's I'm doing as well as a person who believes in the ideals of our country can be doing, which is to say, not great.
So that makes me love you more. So,
But look, I want to show off my shoes because I have my rumble line. And the tattoos way cooler than my shoes.
not really. I really like it.
They're great. My friend had a pair of these, and I was like, "Where did you get them?" They're from Pozu.
You gotta be a rebel.
Yeah.
So, let's talk a little bit about your career.
Okay.
So, you've done some acting.
A little bit.
A little bit. You were in a couple movies, like,
I was.
little movies like, Stand By Me,
Right.
Toy Soldiers.
Yep.
And then you went on
And
to...
then nothing.
You did a little show,
I did. I was on a TV show for a while. That was fun.
which does not have a Funko Pop, I just found out.
So I'm back, we're backstage, and I'm talking to Mike, and Mike's got this amazing Funko Pop that actually bobbleheads.
So,
Yeah, and I was telling you that I am the only one of my friends who works in genre entertainment who does not have a Funko Pop.
yeah.
And listen, it's cool. Like, I accept my position in the universe. I accept my place in fandom and in media. Like, I understand, like, I'm a minor player in all of this. I get it. But there's just something about being the only one of my friends who doesn't have this amazing thing.
So, tweet Funko. Let's go. We gotcha. We
And
gotcha.
they'll be like, okay, so each one is going to cost $40,000 so that we can pay it back for how many we'll sell. But I'm learning how to design and 3D printing, and I'm going to make one of my own.
I made a Jeff Lynne yellow one out of Bob Ross, so
The Bob Ross ones are great.
they are great. The Deadpool is Bob Ross is pretty funny.
Has there been a Deadpool dance party at this show yet? Has anybody seen that? At every convention I'm at where there are people cosplaying Deadpool, there will eventually be this Deadpool dance party that happens that like it just springs up, like it just, there will be Deadpools out and they will just start having a dance party, and it is so fun. It is this wonderful, pure expression of joy. And I was in Phoenix, and the Deadpool dance party started, and then a couple of the bingo ball security guys were decided these people are having fun and we can't have that, and they just decided, they weren't people at the con, they were at the convention center, and you have never seen a crowd turn on a group of like, I've been at punk shows where the audience was more deferential to the security guards than nerds who were like, don't you mess with my Deadpool dance party.
We need this. So I want to ask you, last time you spoke, we talked about, it was on the bar, but we talked about you were on this show, I don't know, you guys heard of the show Big Bang Theory?
I enjoy being a very small part of that.
You were talking about the wedding and your reaction to not performing the wedding. So, would you like to tell these people that?
Well, I'm sure you've seen it, right? Like, I mean, if you watched The Big Bang Theory, you watched their wedding. That scene was phenomenal. We spent all day shooting it because there were so many people in it that we had to shoot it before the audience was in the theater so that they could get all the coverage of all the different actors. And for every one of us that was in that scene, all of us could not, there was someone in that scene that we couldn't believe we got to work with. So, like, all of us were just geeked out about being in the scene with Mark Hamill. I was out of my mind. I got to be in the scene with Lauren Metcalf and Kevin Bates. Like it was really fun to see all of these people who are massively successful, who have done work that we care about, that have inspired us and entertained us for years, to be super excited to be working with each other. And it was fun. It was like you never stopped being a fan.
It was. So when you thought you were going to perform the wedding, when you were reading the script.
Yeah. So I got the script, and I'm reading through it, and there's a line where he's like, I just talked to Wil Wheaton, he's good to go for the wedding. So I yell out of my house to my wife, oh my God, I get to officiate the wedding. And she's like, that's so exciting. And then I get a little bit further in, and I'm just like, actually I don't. She's like, that sucks. And I was like, no, it's really good. It's really cool. I get a really great joke, and I don't have to do any of the hard work of that scene.
You got to hang out with Mark Hamill.
Yeah, Mark is great. Like, that's a thing that I never thought I would ever get to say. Like, oh, Mark is great, right? The day that we did the table read, my friend Nikki, who's one of the assistant directors on the show, put me in a different seat than I'm usually in at the table. So what happens is on Wednesday morning, we go to the studio, and there are conference room tables all assembled together, and the cast sits around it, and we read the script so that the writers and the producers can hear that script for the first time. And they can get a sense of what jokes are working and what jokes need to be worked on. And we do that, and it's really fun. But there's a spot that I always sit next. I sit between Maya and Kevin Sussman, who plays Stuart. And on this particular day, I was on the other side of the table, and I was like, what's going on? Like, I've got my spot. Like, what is this about? Like, suddenly after 11 seasons, like, I'm not in my spot? Like, what's going on? And Nikki says, yeah, some jerk decided to seat you next to Mark Hamill. So she had done that because she knows how much I love him. And he sits down next to me and introduces himself, and I was like, he gets into the script. And he gets to this part where he goes, who are you? And he says, I just have to stop right now and make sure everyone knows that of course I know who you are. And then I was just like, I'm out, I'm done. I can't, as they say, I literally could not even. And he was just a delight. He was such a delightful person. I just love that.
I just wanted to bring up, you do some tabletop gaming.
I do, I love it.
Yes, so talk a little bit about your pitching with that with Felicia Day and also the Guild, which is just fabulous.
So Felicia and I have been friends for over 10 years at this point, and we got to know each other because we were both at the Acme Comedy Theater in Los Angeles. I was in the Saturday night main company, and Felicia was in the Sunday night Bravo company. It's sort of like major leagues and minor leagues. And I had heard that the Bravo company show that was happening when we were in the main show was really good. And when I was in the Bravo company, it meant a lot to me when people from the main company show would come and watch us. So I was like, well, I'm going to go see that show. It's recorded with them because I'll be working with them in a year. And I went to see that show, and she stood out in a show that was already really good. So one of my writing partners was Kim Edie, and she's friends with Felicia. And Kim and Felicia had been doing the Guild. I was already a fan of the Guild. I thought it was really creative and really clever. We have to remember that at that time, no one was doing shows like the Guild. Now YouTube's full of shows that people have independently produced, but back then nobody was really doing them. Felicia kind of started that. And I loved it, and I really wanted to be part of it. So Felicia pitched the idea to will you be on the Guild? I was like, I'll do anything. You know, I think you're brilliant, and I just think you're super creative, and I would love that. And we did the Guild together. It was another incredible experience. It was a lot of fun. And then after the Guild was all finished, she had this offer from Google to start a network, and they said, come in to us and pitch us your list of shows that you want to do. And she called me and she said, I have to give them a list of shows that I want to do, and I thought maybe you would like to do a show on the network with me. And I said, yeah, what did you have? Did you have anything in mind? And she said, I was thinking about a show where you review like board games, because I know how much you like to play board games. And I said, that sounds really fun, but the best way to actually review a board game is to play the game, show people what actually happens in the game. And oh my God, we could get some of our friends who are from TV and movies to come and play these games with us. And it would be like people who don't play games would tune in because they want to see like Zachary Levi play a game on the show. And then people who are like fans of gaming will see these people and then they'll go and watch their TV shows and like everybody wins and it's going to be this great show. And that was how tabletop came together. It literally exploded out of my brain like fully formed. And we did some development. I had lots of help from, like I want to tell you that tabletop exists because of amazing women. It was Felicia Day Kennedy, Sherry Bryant, and Jen Arnold. Like, they shepherded that show through. And I am so grateful that I got to work with these phenomenal women and make this show. And it was great. I loved being part of it. I loved what we did. I'm really proud of what we did. I'm really sad that it's over. I'm really sad that Legendary sucks as hard as they do. But I am hopeful that sometime in the next year we'll be able to release something that is similar to but legally distinctly different from tabletop on a different network. And when I go to pitch to another network, I'll say, you guys, I was in Baltimore, and that announcement elicited mild and polite. So, just so you know, there are people who are not totally offended by the possibility of this episode.
So you also do audiobooks, and you just narrated Ready Player One.
I did. Did you know that Ready Player One was the #1 New York Times best-selling audiobook?
I did.
We debuted at #1 and then stayed there, and now we've been on their list for 4 months. Yeah, it's awesome. It's really great. It's a wonderful gift. You know, all I want to do is create things that people care about. And all I want to do is put joy into the world and give people just something that they can enjoy, because I don't know if you've been out in the world, but it sucks. And as entertainers, I think we have this incredible responsibility right now to create things that give people a break from how terrible the world is. And I am really, really grateful that the work that I did with Ernie and with Ready Player One has found the audience that it found, and that it continues to find new people, and it's something that parents can share with their kids.
I love it. You also, one of my favorite shows is Welcome to Night Vale. Anybody?
Yeah.
So, how did that come about? I mean, did they just say, hey, you're cool?
I fell in love with Welcome to Night Vale. I was a little late to the party. I came in around episode 5, and I just binged it, and I thought it was great. And they were coming to Los Angeles to do, I think the show that they were touring with at that point was the library show. And Joseph and Jeffrey emailed me and they said, we understand that you're a fan of the show and we're coming to Los Angeles. We wondered if you would like to be a surprise guest in the show and be an intern who gets killed in the library. And I was like, yes, absolutely. Just tell me when to be there. And we did the show at Largo Coronet in LA. And I hit it off with Jeffrey and Joseph and Cecil and Jessica, and like we all had the same kind of creative inspirations and the same kind of fundamental beliefs. And when the show was over, I said, listen, if you ever want anything from me at all, I will work for you for free because I love the work so much and I'd love to be part of it. And they were like, rad, we'll let you know. And a few months later, Joseph emailed me and said, so we're thinking about introducing this character, Earl Harlan, to the world, and we would love for you to be part of the show. Would it be Earl? I was like, absolutely. Like I meant it when I said I will do anything for you. So it's been really, really fun, and that has been a wonderful part of my career, to be part of that show.
one person like that. We are going to start taking questions soon, so if you want to line up, the microphone is right over here. Make sure you introduce yourself first. I just wanted to bring up, you also play poker?
I do. I haven't played competitively in a really long time. I did a white belt at cash game at Caesar's Palace a couple of months ago. We went to see Steve Martin and Martin Short in their show. It was amazing. It was so great. Turns out I really like bluegrass. I didn't know that. I had no idea that I enjoy bluegrass music as much as I do, but Steve Martin plays in a bluegrass band, and they were amazing. But I had a few hours to kill, and I don't enjoy gambling, but I love poker. And I went into the poker room, I sat down at a 1-2 no limit table, and I can still play because I wrecked that game. And it was really fun. So I sat down with about $200 and I left with about 1,000. It was really fun. But I don't play as much as I used to. I wish that we could play online in America. I think it's stupid that we don't. That especially since you can do sports betting, which is straight up gambling, that they won't let us do poker online, which is a bummer. But I'm hoping that those laws will change because it really is a lot of fun.
Before we take questions, I just want to thank you for bringing so much joy into the world. So. Daughter at the last convention we were at, and she is totally obsessed now. Just totally. She was like,
so sorry. I'm gonna listen.
She doesn't like anything either.
I'm gonna let her down. That's one of the realities that I live with. Is that I know I hear from people who are like, I really like the work that you do, and I really care about the stuff that you do. And I'm so imperfect, and I try so hard to be the person that I need in the world. And I try really hard to be that person for other people, and I miss the mark a lot, but I'm doing the best that I can. And thank you for saying that. I feel like I'm not, it's like, it's funny to say the world is on fire and it's terrible out there, but it really is. And I'm trying real hard to be the person I need in the world for other people.
We appreciate it.
Doing the best that I can.
Hi, my name is Derek Green.
Hi.
I just want to say thank you for coming to Baltimore Comic-Con. You was a part of my childhood growing up.
Awesome.
I just want to say, as a legendary actor, what are some of the challenges that you have or want to face in the industry?
The biggest challenge I have, honestly, is getting the entertainment industry to acknowledge that I exist. I mean, that is this. So I'm 46. I turned 46 in July, and I have never felt like I'm getting older. I've always felt like I'm kind of fixed at about 30. And I've always just felt that. And my friends and I have aged at the same rate, as you can imagine. And we have carried a little piece of our world with us all the time. And I wasn't fully aware of it until about a year ago. I was like, geez, nobody wants to see me in casting. And it was like for 10 years, I got 4 auditions a year, and it was really, I struggled with that a lot. I was like, I don't understand why. And then I realized I've gotten older, my friends and I have stayed the same, so we're not really aware of aging in the world, and that the world is changing around us, and the people we casting now are young, and I'm not relevant to their life. Because they grow up watching me, and I'm not in meetings all of the time. And if they're not aware of me, then they don't even know to bring me in. I'm just a name on a list. And there's a list of people that are very hot, that are in a lot of things. And it very much is a catch-22 in the entertainment industry. When you work, and when you don't, nobody cares about you, and nobody knows you exist. Why? I've put all of my creative energy and focus into writing and producing, because I'm not going to wait for a 25-year-old who's very good at their job, but does not give a shit about me because I'm older than their parents, and doesn't want to put me in anything at all. So that is actually the biggest challenge, has been trying to have a career that is sustainable. And the reality is I've got about 15 years before I can retire, and I started, when I started writing my blog, I was like an actor who wrote, and over the last 20 years, I've become a writer who occasionally acts. And that's okay.
Well, just want to say here, we all know who you are, and we're grateful that you're here.
You're very kind. Thank you.
Neil, I was wondering what you thought about those wonderfully obnoxious recurring roles like on Dark Matter or Eureka.
I have a really fun time playing villainous characters. I love playing that guy that you love to hate. And every one of those guys, from their point of view, they're the hero. So what I loved about Dr. Parrish on Eureka is that he was convinced that he was the smartest person in the room, and he was just so annoyed that nobody else got that. And he was so bothered by people he was very entitled, and he clearly is someone who people have generally not said no to throughout his life. And then he gets to this point at GD where now he's not the smartest kid in class. He is one of the smartest kids in class and has to adjust to that reality. And it was really, really fun playing him. And then Rook in Dark Matter seems like a just straight up evil character, right? Like he is Lex Luthor. He is just straight up evil. But there's a lot you don't know about him that Joe and I worked on. And there's a lot in his story that justifies his feeling that he's the hero of the story. But because they canceled the show, we'll never find out about it. No, I won't tell you what it is. If you're upset about that, tell those idiots at Sci-Fi to cancel the show that you want to know more about.
Hi, well, I'm Chris Cumber, welcome to Baltimore.
Thank you.
Myself and son.
Can you get a little closer to the mic? I can't hear you.
I got bend down.
Yeah. Or the mic probably goes up. They do that.
I'm not very familiar with these systems. Let's say 46, you're a great man. I'm 48, and you just...
Isn't it fun how you're like having a walk and you're not doing anything, and then suddenly your calves are just like, nope! Do you know what I did yesterday? I hurt myself sitting down. That was fun. Yeah. Nobody fucking tells you this is gonna happen. No one tells you that you wake up one day and your body's like, look, buddy, I'm out. I've been doing this for a long time.
It takes its toll, that's for sure.
Yeah.
I just want to say I was saddened by your decision to leave social media, though I really do understand it and I respect that decision. I think that's, personal. I'd just like to state, I think everybody here, that we miss your voice on social media, that it was a voice of leadership.
I appreciate that.
Desperately needed in these times. We need people like you to speak up for people like us.
Thank you. You're very kind.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Daniel.
Hi.
And when you put a group of people that are great on their own industry and essentially make an all-star cast for a story, there are bound to be a bunch of funny stories. So I would like to know, there's one of your little less known works is part of The Legend of Drizzt, along with Alicia Day, Dan Harmon, Tom Felton, Weird Al, Ice-T. So I just wanted to know if you could share one of those funny stories.
We never worked together on that. We all recorded our pieces. Thank you. We all recorded our pieces of that audiobook on our own in our own booths. But I did that book because I love Bob Salvatore, and I think he's an amazing person, and he's a wonderful writer. But at that time, I was trying really hard to connect with my teenage son. My teenage son was just sort of going through his own struggles, and I was, his lame dad. And I was trying to find a way to connect to him, and I noticed that he was reading the Legend of Drizzt books. So when that offer came to me, and they said, would you like to narrate one of your stories? I thought, cool, I'll do a thing that my son will care about. He didn't care about it. But it was still a lot of fun, and it was a lot of fun to work on that story. And it was a real honor to get to be part of Bob's canon.
Hi, my name is Jackie. So I first want to, let's get into another story. So someone very close to me, I recently found out was suffering from depression. I had no idea, but apparently through your blogs and through a lot of your works, they were able to come to terms with that and actually go seek help. So I just really wanted to say thank you so much for that.
Oh, you're so welcome. Thank you for sharing that.
You're part of the Big Bang Theory, and the Big Bang Theory is one of the most popular shows on television. Do you think that Big Bang Theory what type of influence do you think that show has had, say, on the popular culture of, say, like, how people view people that would go to these conventions, or, of the nerd culture, as it were?
The primary audience for the Big Bang Theory, the core demographic of the Big Bang Theory, it's not us, it's our parents. For real, like it's baby boomers that love that show, that drive the advertising demographic for that show. And I have asked people, like, what is it that you like about this so much? And it's always our parents saying, I finally understand you and your little friends. And I think it's fun. I think that we can see ourselves reflected in those characters in a humorous way. And our parents can see their children reflected in those characters in a humorous way. And I think that is one of the reasons that it has stayed so relevant, so popular for such a long time. Hi.
Hey, how's it going? My name is DJ, and my wife's been begging me to ask you this question. Tell us about the time on Star Trek you just recently came in, and also with the new things that they're doing with Star Trek currently. Would you ever do the X series again?
So when they announced the Picard series, I got excited for Star Trek in a way that I haven't been excited since like the last season of Deep Space Nine. Like I got so excited for it. Because I love Patrick and I love that character. And the Next Gen timeline, which is also the Deep Space Nine timeline, is the timeline that I love the most. And it might be cheating a little bit because I was part of that timeline, so I'm emotionally invested in it, but I was a fan before I was part of the show. And I am thrilled that we are going to get to see what Picard is doing now. I'm excited about that. I think it is very unlikely they will ask me to participate in it. I mean, I think it is extraordinarily unlikely that will happen. If they did, I would say yes, of course. I think all of us would say yes. I think all of us, if we were given the opportunity to put on the spacesuits again and go work together and bring those characters back as they would be 30 years later, we would have all said yes. And I don't think it's because we want the work. I don't think it's because we need the money. I don't think it's because we don't have other things to do. It's because we love each other so much, and an opportunity, even for a day, to return emotionally to some of the best times of our lives. I think that we would jump at that opportunity. Hi.
So about your audiobooks, first of all, thank you so much for the hundreds of hours that you've spent with me, keeping me happy.
Oh, you're so welcome. Thanks for your support.
So what was your favorite audio book?
Red Shirts.
Thank you.
Yeah. In Red Shirts, there is a coda in Red Shirts that is a fellow writing a letter to another fellow about his wife who has died. And in the reading of that, in the performance of that, I was forced as an actor and as a human to confront the reality that I may have to someday live my life without my wife in it. And I can't imagine that. I'm lucky, men in my family die young, women in her family live forever, so I think I'm going to get the best side of this party. But it was real challenging to do because I kept thinking about waking up alone and what that would mean and how I would have to go on for my kids, but how my reason for existing wouldn't be there anymore. and that I cannot even imagine my life without my wife in it. And you know, when I was a little kid, I asked my dad, like, who's your best friend? And he was like, your mom. I was like, yeah, I know you have to say that, but who's like, really, who's your best friend? I didn't understand that until I had been married for a few years. My wife and I have been together over 23 years this December. Next month will be our 19th wedding anniversary, and I'm just incredibly lucky. You know, Ann and I we watched Big Little Lies together, which is really intense and really wonderful. We watch, what's the other show that we watch? There's another show that we watch where we've watched these shows that are like about infidelity, and they're about couples who hate each other and couples who settle. And I don't remember what we were watching the other night, but I paused it and I was like, I don't feel like I settled. And it's super important to me that you know that. Like, I feel like, if anything, you settled. I cannot believe, there is no one on this planet that I would rather share my life with. And I'm so grateful and I'm so lucky to have that. I'm just thinking about how lucky I am that I have kids who are amazing and a wife who is amazing. And when I did this thing with the red shirts, I just had to think about what life would be like if she wasn't there. It was really hard. And I actually had to get up out of the booth because I was sobbing, because I was experiencing that, and the narrator's not experiencing that. It's not that intense for the narrator. And I had to dial it back, and I was like, I need a minute to pull back the emotion that I am experiencing so that I can give you the performance that the material demands. So that's why red shirts is the most important piece to me that I've done. I don't know if it's my best work, but it's the work that has meant the most.
Just a comment and a question.
Okay.
Comment is, I really, really miss your This Week in Science Fiction show on Sci-Fi Channel.
That show was so much fun. We had so much fun doing that. I wanted to do an entire spin-off of Skeletor being mean to me. I would do that show where I just sit there and he yells at me and tells me how terrible I am. I'm like, more of that, Skeletor, please. Yeah, I love that show. Thank you. The people who were, everybody in sci-fi is different now, and I'm glad they got rid of all the network dudes that ruined that network. They're all gone. There are incredible people. This guy, Bill McGoldrick, who greenlit my show, is now in charge of everything there, and it is not a coincidence that the programming on sci-fi is massively better now than it was just 2 years ago. I loved him, but I hated the network people in New York, and they hated me. And we did not want to make the same show, and it was really good that we broke up. But god damn it, we had fun doing that.
So I'm going to see you on the Star Trek cruise in a couple of months.
Oh, excellent.
And I was wondering, reprise the tabletop there. You got lots of stars to play with table track.
I don't know if we're going to be board gaming on that cruise or not. You know, they have scheduled me pretty tightly for the time that we're on there. But you've given me, you said table trek, and that's put an idea in my head.
The only problem is in the library, where they have all the board games.
Yes.
It's way too close to the casino, and
Yeah.
if you have any allergies or breathing issues, and I have both, you do not stay in that room.
Yeah, for sure. I know that. Yeah. Right on. Thank you. You know, I go on the Jonathan Colton cruise every year. This year I won't be able to go on because I'm doing Star Trek cruise instead. But it's so funny because we go on the cruise and we're all nerds. Have you noticed that nerds tend to not gamble? Because we understand probability. We get it, right? You know, there'll be some of us that are like, listen, I know that I'm setting this money on fire, but I'm having fun while it burns, right? But for the most part, we don't gamble. So we go on the Jonathan Colton cruise, there's 2,700 nerds on a boat, and there's 8 people in the casino. And the people in the casino are like, I'm so bored. Because we just don't gamble. Hi.
Hi, my name's Maggie Rogers, and I follow you on Instagram, and it's so much fun to follow you.
Oh, thanks.
I am 45. I just started wearing reading glasses, and
Did you have this conversation with your doctor? Hey, I'm having a hard time seeing things. Yeah, you're 45. That happens. Why don't they tell us this?
That's literally what
Let me prepare for it. Let me ease into it.
Yep, that's literally what what he said to me. So.
Yeah. You have the lens in your eyes and the soft and supple as it used to be. Thanks! You know what? My stomach is real soft and supple. Can I trade?
I'll say that next time I go.
And there's somebody in the outer office, you know, it's just a middle-aged person, they're getting glasses for the first time, they got a whole thing they gotta go through.
Oh, I can't wait to go back to lens crafting. Just a couple of quick things. I'm a huge Star Wars fan.
As am I.
A little obsessed.
Yeah.
People every day on Facebook will post on my wall an R2D2 trash can for sale or a Death Star fire pit. I mean, every day.
Yep.
And Carrie Fisher died on my birthday. And it was like, so yeah, Uber fan. It's been a difficult time without her. It was hard to watch the last couple films. I don't know if it was for you, but that was tough.
I never got to know her well. I met her in a couple of green rooms, and honestly, I was more into Gary. Because I was like, I don't want to bother you. You're very busy. Like, I would talk to her. She would be like, can we get this guy out of here? Because all I would have wanted to do is talk to her about being a script doctor and writing. But I'm a dog nerd, and she was like, can I talk? I was like, can I talk to Gary? And she's like, Gary, can he talk to you? And Gary was like, yeah, let's hang out, buddy. I got to tell you, you're stretching. And I was like, I am into this.
I'm jealous that you got to hang out with Gary.
When we went to we got to go to opening day of The Last Jedi. So we went to Chinese to see it. And Gary was there. He was dressed as an X-Wing pilot. And it was rad. And my wife was like, oh my God, somebody dressed up their dog. And I was like, babe, that's not just my dog. That's literally Gary Fisher. Yeah, it was great.
That's awesome. I'm a dog day girl on IG, and so dog, it's great.
Yeah.
But my question is, I also thought about doing the Bob Ross thing.
Yeah.
Giving it a shot.
Yeah.
And I was like, no, because I'm not an artist in that way.
Neither am I.
I'm an artist in other ways.
Right.
And I was like, no, forget it, I'm not going to do it. And then you did it.
Yeah.
So I'm going to do it.
That's right. You're going to have so much fun.
My question is, how do you deal with the perfection issues? Because you mentioned that, and I'm going to be the same way.
Yeah.
So how should I enter doing the paintings?
That's a great question. And I think that I have found some wisdom in this that is applicable to other aspects of my life, and you can decide if you want to apply it or not. For those of you who don't know, earlier this year, my wife and I were driven out of our house by black mold, and it super sucked. And insurance won't pay for it, which is great. When we were out of the house, we started watching Bob Ross on Netflix every night as a way to like relax and soothe and be calm and quiet. And after we had watched about 10 or 12 episodes, I said to my wife, I think I want to do this. Like, I think that I can follow this technique. Like, I don't know how to paint. I can't draw. I have zero artistic talent, but I think I could probably do this. So she was like, I think you should. So I bought some paints, and I bought an easel, and I set it up, and I followed along, and I did a painting that doesn't look anything like what he did, but it looks like what I was able to do. And there's great advice in the Bob Ross subreddit, which is called Happy Trees. And their moderator says, save your first canvas no matter what, no matter how much you want to paint over it, no matter how much you want to set it on fire, save your first canvas. And I have it, and I look at my first canvas, and I compare it to where I am now, and I'm like, you know what? The kid who did this was doing the best he could do. And I can see the kid who did that was rad. And this kid that's doing it now, like, he's doing the best he can do, and his mountains look a little bit better, and his trees are a little bit better. But you know what? His water was great. He could do those reflections, and do them really well. The way that I get out of my own way came from a friend of mine she's a professional illustrator and an artist. And she said, sometimes the art doesn't want to be what you want it to be. And you just have to let it be what the art wants to be. So I was practicing mountains, and I was having a real hard time. And I was just having a real hard time anyway. Like, I'm going through some stuff right now that I'm not going to burden you with. But I was having a rough day. And I was trying to do these mountains, and I couldn't get them to work, and I was just getting frustrated because I was like, I was painting and I was doing everything the way and I couldn't get the paint to work, and it just kept looking like cake icing, and it wasn't like the way I wanted it to look. And I was scraping it off, and I was starting over and scraping it off and starting over. I was like, I'm just gonna practice. Anyway, I ended up with all this paint on my palette that was various shades of blue because I had mixed it all together. And I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna do a painting in just this shade of blue. And it really reflected how I felt. There was just like sadness but also like this effort to find like serenity in the work. And it reflected how I felt. And I usually paint over my canvases because I don't want to get attached to what I've done. But I saved that one because it's where I was. And that's a thing that I've learned about art. Like, I'm not a painter, so I don't know if this exists for all painters, but for me, painting Bob Ross Happy Tree style, you have to meet the art where it is. And when you're willing to do that, it takes time, it takes practice, you fight it like crazy, but you eventually get to a point where you're willing to meet the art where it is, and you become that translation from whatever you believe in the universe that created that art, and it passed through you, and you were only able to do the sad piece or the angry piece, or like, you know, or there was something in that tree that tree is strong, like it expresses that part of you, and that it's not what you think it's going to be, it's what it needs to be. And when I was able to commit to like letting it be what it needed to be, then I was able to get out of my way. But it took a long time to do that, 15 canvases to get there. And honestly, I think the best thing is to remember is to be gentle with yourself. Talk to yourself the way you would talk to a person you love who is struggling. It's real hard for us to do that. And not just in art, in everything. I'll say it again. Talk to yourself the way you talk to a person you love. It's so important.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Now I'm fine, thank you.
Yeah, right on.
Hi.
Hi,
Hello.
Lauren.
Hi, Lauren. Can you pull the mic towards your mouth so I can hear you?
Oh, sure.
It's you can tilt it down like that. There you go. You got it. You're killing it. Good work. Hi, Lauren. What's up? Good work.
My question was, do you have any stories while you were working on the Guild?
Yeah, so there are two stories from the Guild that I think will be amusing to you. One of them is the very first time we meet Fox and the Axis of Anarchy. We were filming in Anaheim in front of a GameStop.
Nice.
And we were recording, and I think this outtake is actually on YouTube. We were recording that scene, and a giant beetle, like a really big, those beetles that hiss when you come up to them, one of those giant beetles flew into my face from out of nowhere. So we're like, we're the Axis of Anarchy, we're badasses, we're tough, and oh God! I scream and run away. And Teddy, bless him, is dead set in character, staying in character, and is like not reacting to whatever bullshit I'm doing, and it's hilarious. The other thing that's really great in that is there's this experience that I had behind the scenes when Felicia and when Fox and Codex go on their dinner date, it's just the two of them together. The dialogue wasn't entirely working for us. And Felicia and I rehearsed it, we blocked it, they put stand-ins at the table, and then we went off and we rewrote the scene together. And we worked with Sean Becker, the director, and we made the scene what it needed to be. And if we were on a network television show, we wouldn't be given that freedom because everything's already been approved and everything has to go through many layers of producers and networks and all that before it ever gets to the set. And once you're on the set, you can't change it. It has to be because so many people have signed off on it. But on the Guild, it was us. We got to decide. You know, we were the last word. And that level of creative freedom was really inspiring to me. And it's one of the things that pushed me toward being a writer. Because I like being the last word on things. Ha, writer, your last word. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. I'm very clever.
He is very clever.
Hello.
Let's
let's do try and get to everybody.
Okay.
We only have a few minutes left. So
Great, and I'll try to not be so damn long-winded. Go.
All right, I'm a new father, 9-month-old. Just wanted to give some nerd fatherly advice to my new son. What are some good tips or things?
Your kid might not grow up to be a nerd. That might happen. Your kid might be a jock. Your kid might not love the same things that you love. And I have to tell you, love your kid no matter what. Love your child, whether they're doing a thing that, as long as they're not hurting someone, if they don't share the same interests as you, that's okay. I am struggling with this with my own dad, and it's really hard. So make sure that your children know that they are loved unconditionally. Hold them to account, set boundaries, be a role model, make them responsible for the choices that they make, but make sure that they know at the end of all of it that they are loved unconditionally.
Awesome, thank you.
You're welcome.
Hello.
Hi.
Nicole. So I started following you after watching the Guild and your recent day tabletop gaming. What are your thoughts about making tabletop gaming more accessible for people who live or stream like us?
I can't. Sorry, I can't hear you.
Put the microphone down just a little bit. Just tilt it.
There you go.
Sorry. So what are your thoughts about making tabletop gaming more accessible for people who live or stream like us?
One of my goals with tabletop was to make gaming accessible to as many people as possible. I wanted to put as many gamers in the world as I possibly could. And accessibility is extremely important to us. We worked really hard to get the best subtitles we could get on the show, so that people who are differently able are able to enjoy the show the same way that I am. There exists in the gaming world, it's super unfortunate, there exists in the gaming world a gatekeeping mentality, and it tends to be insecure young men who don't want any people coming into their hobby, and they're wrong. And I feel like they are a virus that we have to get out of our community, and that we should make gaming as accessible to everyone. If someone wants to play a game, then they have the absolute right to go into a game shop or a cafe or someone's place and play games with them.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Hi, Will. My name is Mark. I have a quick question about your appearance on Critical Role. And did you ever discuss with Matt Mercer whatever happened to Thorbjorn after his interactions with Vox Machina?
No, but I have, I got to do a really wonderful thing, and I got to spend a day with a kid from Make-A-Wish, and I took him to Critical Role, and we got to sit with them 3 episodes, there's about the 3rd episode into this new storyline, and I told all of them when I was there, if you have room, and if Thorbjorn works in this storyline, I would love to bring him back. If he doesn't work, I would love to roll a new character and just show up for 1 episode because it is so much fun to do. One of the things that we did decide retroactively is that the reason Thorbjorn rolled so badly, the reason Thorbjorn was so ineffective and was so just useless, is that he was profoundly hungover. I wasn't when I played, I don't drink, but Thorbjorn, as an adventuring dwarf, was just wrecked from a night of ale. And that's why he couldn't do anything, not even kick in a door.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hi, Will. I'm Amy. I maybe the only one in the room didn't realize that you had an arm tattoo.
Oh, yeah, I did.
So I came in to Google this to double check. Your character on Big Bang Theory, love you on that show.
They suspend it in a liquid of pluripotent stem cells in the makeup room, and then you put it back on when it's done. If you watch, you'll see that I am usually in long sleeves.
Okay,
I'm usually in long sleeves, or if it's up, it's been covered with this makeup called Dermablend that you can't see through. And the reason for that is in the language of multi-camera television, tattoo equals cool guy. And I'm not cool. And I'm certainly not a cool guy when television imagines people to be, right? So they have to cover it. They can't show it.
To keep your character.
Yes.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, last question, no pressure.
Thank you. I got more than not cool guy doing I'm big bag fan, big Star Trek fan. My absolute favorite Star Trek movie of all time was Generations. So at that point, we got to work with both Picard and with Kirk.
Yeah.
So can you explain a little bit to us about how that was? Because you were pretty young at that point.
Well, I didn't get to work in that movie, so I didn't get to work with them together. But at the time, you know, they were shooting right across the street from us at Paramount. So I got to go and visit the set of every Star Trek movie that was being filmed right up until, I guess, Generations was the last one with the original series cast. And it was pretty remarkable. It was pretty cool for me to be part of Star Trek, to be part of the next generation, and getting to see these people whose shoulders I was standing on. And it was, for me, it was really exciting to go and see the Enterprise, not my Enterprise, but the Enterprise, and to talk to them and get to know them a little bit. Because I was a huge fan before I worked on Next Generation. And that was an incredible experience. I don't have any firsthand on the set stories because I was never on the set firsthand. Yeah, it was really wonderful that I got to go and see those things. And those sets are as cool up close as they are on TV.
All right, thank you.
Thanks for your question.
Okay, well, let's give Will a huge round of applause. Thank you so much for being here. You're amazing. Make sure that you visit him, get pictures, autographs. He'll be here through Sunday.
Because I have your attention, if I could just, a small call to action. Please call your senators and tell them to oppose Brett Kavanaugh. Get out the vote in November. Thank you very much, everybody. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.